let's talk to child psychologist Dr. Howard Fine. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we're being told it's fine if we use our phones and tablets as babysitters for the children. Actually, we're improving their brains.
I think that there is some good evidence behind this, but at the same time, this particular piece of research has some limitations as well. It's got quite a small sample size, so we have to be cautious in how we interpret this, but also how we interpret that app time, that on-screen time. Because if it's purely for leisure and recreation, then maybe that's not so good and that maybe should be limited. However, if it's structured and educational, then maybe we should be able to increase those hours.
They say for toddlers, you should no more than 1 hour a day on these computers, iPads, whatever, and 2 hours if they're a little bit older kids, you know, young teens or whatever. Is it consistent with kids? It works the same with all of them, that kind of practice?
I would say it depends on the recommendations. So in fact, some countries like America will say limit to 0 below the age of 2. The French, for example, below the age of 3 or below the age of 2 will say actually no recreational time at all.
And what do we say here?
Well, we don't have any government guidance at the moment, but I think we really should be thinking and moving towards that. I think there should be some time, but I think it really depends on that moderation. Anything in moderation is fine, but it should also be relevant to parental supervision, so parents should know what their children are playing with and what they're doing. Yes, they should also be working alongside their child. So they should be working, you know, when you said earlier on that you don't quite know that they're the tech-savvy children, that they can guide you, maybe we should be working alongside them and be learning with them.
Okay, when I use my phone and I'm not at work, I find my brain sort of disconnects and goes off into another zone. And I can be on certain apps and I feel like I've entered a rabbit hole and I can be there for hours.
Right.
And I'm not sure that's terribly, constructive. Constructive.
Rabbit hole are you in
like
for
social
hours
media, social media. But I wonder,
you are addicted to social media.
Does that, and that worries me about my children and children generally. Do they do that? Do they just go? Do their brains just float off?
Well, they can zone out, but then there is the risk where you're talking about that recreational time, which certainly should be limited. We see a very significant negative impact on recreational time on apps. For example, children who are doing their GCSEs, for every additional hour per day of app time for on-screen time, it reduces their grade point by up to 2 grades in their GCSEs.
Can I just show you something else? So when children are used to swiping on an iPad like this, and look what happens when they then use a magazine. Okay, so here we go. This is what we're teaching our children. They're using the magazine and then trying to swipe and open, there we go. Does Marie Claire swipe? No, it doesn't.
Now,
is that useful?
Well, hang on. Will Marie Claire swipe in 10 years' time? Yes, because
it does if you're on a
screen. There won't be magazines
or
newspapers, so these kids are ahead of their time.
We're changing their habits, aren't we?
There's some useful things about apps. They are very good at increasing our processing speed, at our memory as well, so lots of other skills there. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't increase our ability to work with three-dimensional objects, with visuospatial skills. So that's exactly what we're talking about, the real world
What do you recommend
applications.
to adults who are in rabbit holes for hours at a time every day?
I would certainly say limit your time. And actually
Stay off social media, Susanna.
Well, more direct social time is far more important than social media.
You're so right.
I can't get her off her phone, honestly. It's ridiculous.
Every time we cut back to you in Vision Fears, you're like this.
Absolutely untrue.
It is true.
I'm mastering my briefs.
I'm just going to ask the editor, can you just get a little compilation of all the little parts of the programme where we've cut back to Piers and Vision and he's on his phone? Okay, and we'll show that at the end of the programme.
I like to keep in touch with my public via
Great
social
to see you.
media.
Thank you so much. Okay, 22 minutes past.